Hello lovers, welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast hosted by myself, Lauren Amy. This is for those who are ready to take up space, who are living a soft life loudly and are ready to savor the sweetness in each moment. Here we're going to embrace transformation, the beauty of the in-between and the magic of becoming. So pull up a seat and listen in because life is delicious and it's about goddamn time we eat it up. All right, lovers, happy Wellness Wednesday. Welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. How are we all doing? Okay, we seem to enjoy last week's episode. It seems to be the case that whenever I discuss the tragedy that is my dating life, the plays go up. I hope you enjoyed the soap opera that is my life, and you'll be pleased to know that it is continuing. We have an update this week, and I will get to that in a moment. Don't you worry, it's all going to unfold, it's all going to come through. Jesus Christ. But no, I hope you're all doing well. Let's have a little catch up, shall we, from the weekend. We had Touch and Trust this weekend, which went so amazingly well. I'm so pleased. This workshop idea has been in my head for at least 5 years now. 5 years this has been simmering away in the back of my head. I don't think people realise just how much I sit on these ideas. Someone said to me the other day, you're always doing something lovely for other people. You're always, got lovely events on. You're always looking to provide lovely, fun, nourishing events for people. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I generally do try my hardest for that. But a lot of the time I'm sitting on so many ideas, and a lot of these ideas have never been actioned. They're just thoughts. And I think that's maybe a fear thing. I think it's an imposter syndrome thing. We all go through it. We all have it. But yes, Touch and Trust is an idea that was in my head way back 5 years ago. And actually the inspiration behind this idea was actually from my dance background. Some of you might know I did dance at undergrad and then dance performance and choreography at my postgrad, which brought me to this lovely town. And in both degrees was contact improvisation. If you don't know what contact improvisation is, basically it's an improvised dance between two or more people, where it's going to sound really weird, where there's tumbling, you're kind of using another dancer as the floor, if that makes sense. It's basically where there's kind of tumbling, there's rolling, you might be going up onto a handstand on someone else, and it's very fluid, it's continuously in motion. And, at one point, one dancer is the bass, the other dancer is the flyer, one person is the under dancer, one person is the over dancer, but those roles continuously chop and change, yeah? And it's this beautiful dialogue, almost, that once you experience it, it is so beautiful because it requires so much trust. You are trusting the under dancer, your bass, to support the entirety of your weight as you're moving through the air, and then very quickly the roles swap around, so then they have to have that trust in you whilst you support their weight whilst they're flying through the air. It is a beautiful practice. It's actually spurred me on, talking about it again, it spurred me on to maybe go to some contact jam workshops, practices in London. There's a few of them about, and a contact jam is basically where you've got multiple bodies in the space. You might be moving with one person, you might be moving with three, you might be moving with more than that. It's just beautiful, like overlapping conversation where there's just so much trust in the room. I had that as an idea, as something I'd love to bring to non-dancers, because I just think I'm so lucky to have experienced that, and I'd love to find a way to bring that to non-dancers. And then obviously lockdown happened, COVID happened, where we're having to be so distant from one another, so disconnected from one another. Touch and Trust landed in my brain as a way to kind of heal that disconnect, to bring people back together again, and again have this dialogue, this communication, this outpour of creativity, and just get people moving again, get people sharing space again. So yeah, Touch and Trust in my head for 5 years. And sure, the way the workshop was delivered over the weekend is very different to contact with improvisation. It's kind of like almost like a stepping stone, I imagine. to people getting used to receiving touch again, to receiving hands-on touch again. And every time I've spoken about this workshop, it really lands home how much people want to receive touch. We all know the benefits of going for a massage, right? We all know the benefits of, you know, receiving a hug from someone, right? Or even just a comforting tap on the shoulder. We all know that feeling, or someone holding your hand. We all know that feeling. And then to offer it in a workshop where you're experiencing, or you're moving through various shapes, you're moving through your familiar yoga practice, but then just seeing how touch can really enhance the experience and change the experience is a really beautiful thing. And I was so pleased to be able to offer that over the weekend. The feedback I've received so far has honestly been amazing. One of my lovely yogis who has literally been to nearly everything I've offered over the past couple of years, she says to me, that's the best thing you've done so far. And my goodness, that is so heartwarming. I'm so pleased, and I best get cracking with another date. Best get planning another one, hopefully in a few months' time. I'm tempted to do one over the summer, but summertime is a bit tricky for events. People just want to be outside more. People are on holiday. So we'll see. I'll get working on another date, and hopefully that'll be announced very soon. So yes, that happened over the weekend, and feeling good. Just feeling good. I'm recording this podcast a little bit late. Actually, well, to be completely honest, I originally recorded this podcast episode yesterday after Touch and Trust, but the weekend, this is where we're getting on to the update, the weekend was somewhat interesting. Somewhat interesting. So I recorded an episode last night, and I've not even listened to it back, but I was literally, as soon as I finished, as soon as I wrapped it up, I was like, nah, that's not the one. That's not the one, because I'm not sure where my energy was at. I was so tired, didn't have a lot of sleep the night before, and obviously had just ran this amazing workshop. But yes, whilst the workshop was able to take me out of what was going on behind the scenes, once the workshop came to a close, I was like, okay, what am I left with here? What am I coming home to here? So yes, we need to take another 24 hours or so to kind of figure out where we're at, so I can be in a comfortable, grounded place to then deliver this update. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? So last week, I'm sure you all remember me talking about this delightful first date experience and running into my ex situationship. Now, I would love to be able to go back and delete that episode, delete the previous episode where I talked about this situationship person, boy, whatever, because oh my goodness, she has crashed out. You know how last week I was saying like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm done. Oh, I'm not sure if I want him to message me. Oh, and basically just giving like wet flannel, soggy croissant simp energy. Just like really whiny, mopey energy. And I would like to officially scratch that from the record. That is the main update of this week. We have crashed out of whatever fantasy I was in within this boy. And I remember listening to that last week's episode, and there was one moment where I said how he had lied to me, and then like, oh yeah, call me delusional, call me whatever. I still have so much respect for this person. Hang on, Lauren. You've just said he's lied to you, and then in your next breath said that you still have respect for him? No, honey. Oh, we needed to have a good sit down, and we needed to have a good word with ourselves. And basically, I was feeling this shift in energy, and I was feeling these new thoughts land, this reframing slowly start to settle in my head. And there was this almighty crash out. I think that's the phrase that the kids are using nowadays, crash out. I think it basically means when you crash out of a fantasy that you've been in with someone. Basically, I saw something that just immediately shook me out of whatever like rose-tinted glasses I was wearing, whatever fantasy delusional world I was living in. And what happened as a result of that was this overwhelming like wave of pure feminine rage. And I just realised it really hit home just how much emotional turbulence this boy has put me through the past year. And I suppose like the first thing that sparked it was I have a diary where I write one line a day, and it's approaching May, and I was getting to a certain point in that diary where I looked, and I was able to look to last year, and it said like May, yada yada yada, met this person today, something else, and then I wrote the sentence, I don't think this friendship will be good for me. I wrote that an entire year ago. I knew on day one, day dot of meeting this person, that this wasn't going to be good for me. But for some reason, I went with it anyway. Why on earth I did that? What was the reason? I don't know. I have been doing a lot of like questioning myself, and some of this feminine rage is actually directed at myself for not listening to my own intuition. And I suppose in some way signing up for this emotional turbulence, but I'm trying not to think of it in that way. I guess, it has been like this emotionally turbulent year, but think of all the things, or remind yourself of all the things that you've still been able to do this year. So that kind of, again, softened that a little bit. But my God, I knew an entire year ago from day one of meeting him that this was not going to be good for me. So, honeys, if that's not a message to trust your intuition, I don't know what is. So we succumbed a little bit to the feminine rage. Now, feminine rage is a beautiful, somewhat dangerous, powerful thing. Feminine rage is a fantastic motivator. It kind of gets you through that sticky sludge that you were in and just pulls you full force out of this fantasy. It's almost like, I kind of was thinking about this over the week. It's like a life raft. Like you are out in deep sea, treading water, trying to keep your head above water for so long. And then feminine rage is that life raft that's suddenly chucked out to you that you suddenly grab onto. But that life raft is attached to a speedboat. That speedboat is then just racing you towards the next shore. And that feminine rage is that moment where you are being dragged out of these deep, murky waters towards shore. And it's just like, it's this rush, it's this wave, it's this sudden motivator where you're like, oh no, oh hell no, that did not just happen. And you just realise you're able to suddenly see clearly for the first time in I don't know how long. So amidst this wave of feminine rage, which, as I say, is a beautiful thing, I do like a bit of feminine rage sometimes, because it is a great motivator. But funnily enough, before I really sunk into feminine rage, I'd messaged a friend the night before being like, do you ever get the feminine urge to just go just a little bit off the rails? just a little bit off the rails. It's so funny. I said that the night before, and then feminine rage took over, and I was just like, oh, you know what? If I was a real psycho, I would love to egg his house right now. I would love to egg his house. I would love to, I don't know, write some sort of expletive over his car. But, that is vandalism, and we don't condone that. So no one go do any of these things. It's just I had a random moment, just like, oh, I'd love to be just a little bit psycho, just for a little moment, just a little bit toxic, just for a little moment. But it's okay. We are healing. We have not committed any crime. We have not conducted any acts of vandalism. Yes. Oh, I wouldn't egg his house anyway, because that would be incredibly unfair to both his mum and dad, because yes, he still lives with his folks at age 34. Goodness me, what boy, what child have I been somewhat obsessing over for nearly a year now? Wow. So, as I say, feminine rage took over, and I think that life raft, that speedboat, has brought me back to land. Sometimes what happens when the feminine rage subsides, however, is that very often when your feet land upon earth, when you suddenly feel that solid earth beneath you again, is that you finally feel all the hurt. You finally feel the betrayal. You finally feel all the upset, and then you just have to sit with it. You just have to breathe through it and feel it all. And again, that feminine rage is kind of still there, because she's there as a reminder to be like, yeah, this hurt is there. Don't you forget that. Don't you forget what happened to you. Don't you forget what has been done to you as a result of this boy projecting his own unhealed trauma onto you. And within that, I've had to do a lot of forgiveness for myself. If you went to Slow Flow Sunday, you would have noticed a lot of the theme, a lot of the chat was to do with forgiveness, was to do with letting go of anger, hurt, frustration. And I'm hoping that resonated with some people in the room, but I do think to some extent that was for me. I really needed that class that morning. And this is why I know I'm in the right profession, because sometimes I'm sat here with all these thoughts and feelings and I'm like, I need to teach. I need to get in front of a room of people, and I just need to speak, because often the words that come out of my mouth, again, I don't pre-plan them, but it's not always for the people in the room. Sometimes it's actually for me. Sometimes I'm actually standing up, showing up for people, showing up for myself. It's this weird thing. This is the role I have. This is the job I have. I show up for others. But there's this crossover that very often happens, that when these words spill out, I don't always think it's for someone else. Sometimes I think it's for me. And a friend came to that class and she had known what was going on, and she gave me a hug afterwards. She was like, you feel better after that? And I was like, yeah. Oh yeah, I do. And actually that brings me on to this month's Calm Collective. We're working with the theme of forgiveness. And just helping us to shift whatever anger, resentment, hurt, betrayal, upset, whatever emotions we are holding on to, and just encouraging ourselves to let that go, and then forgiving ourselves for maybe holding on to these things, forgiving ourselves for how we've handled situations, or forgiving ourselves for, whatever has happened, because we need to let it go. We can't hold on to that feminine rage forever. We can't hold on to this anger and resentment forever. We have to let it go. So, this is going out on Wednesday. So if you're free Friday, Hans, join me 7:30 at Verve, because we're going to be releasing, letting go, and settling into this really sweet, soft surrender, I feel. Yeah, I'm really excited for that on Friday. So if you feel that pull, if you feel that little inkling like, I might need a little something of that, I might need a little something, then yeah, join me Friday. I'll put the link in the episode description. I'm feeling the less intense emotions now, but for a long time I was just like, I've been so nice. I've been so nice this entire time. I've been so respectful, and I've been so quiet about everything. And I'm just like, oof, not anymore. Not anymore. I think there's some part of me that's maybe feeling a little bit frustrated again with myself, because I said to myself, I was never going to make myself small for another person. I was never going to dilute my personality, my traits, my characteristics for another person. I was never going to quieten my voice for another person. And lo and behold, that happened again. But I feel like this time there's going to be an even greater resurgence. It's like glow up 2.0. It's healing 2.0. At the end of my big breakup, I found my voice, and now it's almost like I feel like I'm ready to roar. I'm ready to howl. I don't know what it is. It's like every person that comes into your life, even if it ends or whatever it is, every person offers something to you. And in the ending of my big relationship, it was a reminder to use my voice to advocate for myself. And it feels like at the end of this, I don't know what it is, dating, fuckery, whatever it was, it's a reminder to not only use my voice, but make sure it is heard. And I think also in this process, there's been moments where I've realized, healing is not always, sitting, journaling, meditating, incense. It's not always the pretty version of healing that you perhaps see on social media. Sometimes it's, I don't know, eating baked beans on toast and then lying on the floor, singing your heart out to, I don't know, whatever feminine rage song, just to help yourself ground. Did both those things happen today? Yes, they did. But is she feeling better for it? Yes, she is. You know, healing is messy, and I do feel like I've had the softer, more pretty version of healing. This version, it is messy. It is brutal. And I would quite honestly, I would quite like to not learn any more lessons for a while. I've realised I've spent the past few months, again, maybe even a year, not even healing from my own experiences, but actually healing from other people's mistakes that have, again, been projected onto me. I think I'm done with healing for a while. I think I'm done with thinking I always need to learn something or I always need to heal from something. I think from this point, I would just like to live a little bit. You know what I mean? I think it's easy to get caught up in healing, and there's almost this like spiritual, I don't know, ego or spiritual bypassing where people get really uptight by their own healing journey and it, again, almost project that onto you. Your healing journey is your own, and if you need to take a break from it, then okay, by all means. If you need to just remind yourself to have fun, remind yourself that you have free will. Literally, I'm wearing blue eyeliner today just because I can. I'm wearing a comfy ass jumpsuit just because I can. I'm looking at flights to Prague just because I can. Life is fun. You're not meant to spend the entirety of your life healing from something, and you're not meant to spend your life especially healing from someone else's mistakes, healing from someone else's trauma. No, that's not how it's meant to be. So if you need to take a break from that healing journey and if you just need to have fun, go for it, honeys. And what's funny is that this situationship, this person I was dating, he didn't believe in free will. And I mean, fair enough, he's a psychologist, he studies the brain, and apparently there's these brain processes that maybe indicate that we don't necessarily have free will, as every decision is kind of pre-planned in some sort of way. I mean, okay, sure, but I like to think that we do have free will. I like to think that we can make the decision to choose softness, to choose freedom, to choose fun, to choose laughter, to choose joy. And I know that's sometimes feels like a difficult concept to allow space for, because sometimes the universe does deal you with a really shitty hand. Sometimes we're dealt with grief, again, real intense trauma, illness perhaps, and you can't just wish for joy in those situations. But I think how we choose to respond to certain things can make a difference. And again, choosing softness, choosing freedom, especially when you're coming out of a situation where you weren't choosing yourself, yeah, that feels like a real coming home to your own free will. You can choose. You can actively, consciously make that decision to choose yourself. So yeah, if you want to go out wearing blue eyeliner, go for it. If you want to dye your hair a more vibrant shade of pink, go for it. I literally did that last night as well. That made me feel a million times better. Again, life is fun. Life is to be lived. Life is delicious. We gotta eat it up. So I think we're taking a little break from healing and diving into something else. I don't know what that is yet, but diving into some sort of experience, diving into something that's going to take me elsewhere that I don't know where it's going to take me, but I'm going to let it take me. I'm hoping this episode is coming across better than the one I recorded yesterday. I'll say I've not even listened to it back, but but I feel a lot more grounded. I feel a lot more steadier. I feel calmer. That focus is coming back to me and the opportunities that I want to create to myself. And yes, it would be easy for me to look back on this past year and think, wow, what an what an awful time. But there are still amazing things that I did this past year. And I'm going to go on to do many more amazing things. You are going to go on to do many more amazing things. So choose fun, choose softness, What's the phrase that everyone has like painted on their walls, like live, laugh, love? Yeah, fuck it, let's do that. Live, laugh, love. Woo! And on that note, let's wrap it up, shall we? A little bit of chaos, a little bit of calm. Best of both, really. What more could you want? So, yes, whatever you decide to do with your day, go have fun. Go spread your wings, you beautiful butterfly, and I will see you next week with another episode. Who knows where this next week is going to take me, but we're along for the ride. Let's go. All right, I love you, honeys. See you. Take care. Mwah.